Hello friends, and welcome to the Hanged Man in the Moon. If this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm pleased to meet you. If you've been here before, thank you for returning. I'm truly honored. Friends, if you are a returning visitor, you surely know that this is my deep dive into an expanding deck called the Sacred Tarot. Now, I was just corrected on this recently. I've been calling it the Egyptian Tarot, and that is the name that I purchased it under. Yeah, when I bought it off of eBay, when I bought my out-of-print deck from eBay, it was sold under the name of the Egyptian Tarot. Now, I know that the guidebook's name is the Sacred Tarot, and I thought it was different, but apparently I was mistaken. So, the Sacred Tarot, which is the original name for what is now called the Egyptian Tarot, by the same originating author of C.C. Zane and the Brotherhood of Light. Now, it's still being published by the Brotherhood of Light, though C.C. Zane has long since passed away. So I'm doing a dive into that deck, which I will now call the Sacred Tarot, but I'm going to keep the Egyptian Tarot up in the title for the rest of the deep dive. Because the new deck, which is a redrawing by the same organization, is now called the Egyptian Tarot. So there we go. Where was I? Yes, just in case you are new here, let me give you a rundown of what I'm doing. Now, every night before I go to bed, I shuffle my Egyptian Tarot, the mass market colorized color version of the Sacred Tarot. And I shuffle that, I riffle shuffle it to my heart's content because it is very readily available, easily replaceable, cost not very much. So I riffle shuffle, I pull my daily draw card for the next day. The question that I'm asking when I shuffle is, what would I benefit from giving my attention to in the following day? So I draw the card, and then I draw the matching card from the Sacred Tarot, which is charcoal gray and white is what I call it, because it's not really black, it's charcoal gray. And then I look at them. I look at the differences. There are some slight differences. There's one card that is very different, but generally they're just slight differences. I notice the similarities, and then I ask for help from another deck, a deck that I'm getting more and more used to every time I work with it. I've been working with it very regularly since I did a deep dive into that deck about 7 months ago. It might be almost 8 months now. And that deck is called the Tarot of the Holy Light by the brilliant Christine Payne-Towler. And so I do a 3-card spread with that deck to help me unpack my daily draw card. And the 3 cards that I draw are, the first card is the significance of the daily draw card for me for the following day. The second card is the challenge for me, either positive or negative. A challenge can be both. And the third card is advice, what I should do regarding all of this. Yeah? So then I go to bed and I wake up and I live my life. And at the end of the day, I come back and I analyze the cards, I analyze the spread, I put this together, and then I film a video, which is what I'm doing now. So friends, I've got the daily draw card photographed and ready to go. So let me show you that card, those cards, 2 versions of the same card right now. The daily draw cards for me for today were the 6 of discs. Yeah, the 6 of discs. And it's basically a pip deck, right? So it's very, very simple to describe. There are 6 coins on the card, and there's a constellation. Now, let me show that to you again, just up close and personal. You see there we have the 6 discs, and you see at the top we have both Libra and Aquarius, and at the bottom we have a planet assignment, which is Venus. So the reason why I've got that is that the 6 of discs points to the Libra decanate of Aquarius and its subruler Venus, from which the cardinal aspect of fixed air's vital attributes enter our world. Almost said fixed fire. Fixed air's vital attributes enter our world. And just in case you are new and don't know what that means, let me just tell you that each of the signs has 3 decanates. You have 3 groups of 10 degrees, and each one of them is assigned to one of the zodiacal signs of its elemental group. So we're talking about air. Yes, we are talking about air. In this deck, the discs are the air suit and the swords are the earth suit. Let's just move on, because that's the way that C.C. Zane envisioned the attributes for these these signs, these figures, these discs, and these swords on the cards. Now, the important thing is that this card is associated with these zodiacal signs. So in the zodiacal signs for air, which is discs, we have 3, right? We have Libra, we have Sagittarius, and we have Gemini. So again, this is the Aquarius. This is in Aquarius, and in Aquarius there are 3 decanates. The Aquarius decanate, and then we have the Gemini, not moving my finger very well, the Gemini decanate, and then we have the Libra decanate. That makes sense, right? So we're in the 3rd decanate of the sign of Aquarius. And because it's the Libra decanate, we have the planet Venus, which is because Libra is the domicile of Venus. So Venus is beaming through the Libra house in Aquarius, getting its picking up attributes and residue as it beams through into the world, into our natal charts, or into the question that we're asking of the tarot when we use this deck. So, again, we have the Libra decanate of Aquarius and its subruler Venus, from which the cardinal aspect of fixed air's vital attributes enter our world, enter the question that we're asking. Why is that? Because Aquarius, wow, this is just not working today. Aquarius is a fixed sign, and Libra is a cardinal sign. Yeah, so Libra being cardinal, the cardinal aspect of Sagittarius fixed, of fixed air's vital attributes entering the world, along with the power of Venus. And we also have, you can see that the constellation is in both of these cards. Let me just double check. They're actually pretty similar, almost exactly the same number of stars, drawn almost exactly the same, but they are the same constellation. They're both drawings of this constellation Cetus. And we'll get to that in just a moment. But before we get to Cetus, I'd like to dive into something that struck me the last time a discs card showed up. And it's interesting. I've reflected on this, and in this deck particularly in this deck, particularly I think in the charcoal gray and white version, but also in the color version a little bit, the coins cards from 6 on, from 6, 7, 8, 9, and to 10, I believe. Well, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Maybe to 8, yes. From 6 to 8, they all remind me of geometric signs, of geometric figures, because of the arrangement of the disc. And that's never struck me before. It's never really struck me when I looked at a Tarot de Marseille coins card. But for some reason, the way, perhaps it's the size of the coins in relationship to the rest of the card, 6, 7, and 8 all look like geometric figures to me. And if you've ever studied geomancy, maybe it will look similar to you. And as far as geomancy goes, this looks like the figure 4. Da-da-da-da. I got to check. The name has escaped me just. Amicio. Yeah, and the idea for Amicio, the image, the geometric figures also have these associated images that we learned as like mnemonic devices. Yeah. So the mnemonic device for this grouping is a purse turned over, a purse being emptied. Yeah. Where this is the pouch of the purse, like an old style purse, not the Gucci bag, but when we would just use a cloth wrapped up with maybe like a tarot pouch. Yeah, that kind of a purse, where this would be the pouch of the purse, and this is where the opening is down here. And it's pointed down to the ground. Now, this would be a different thing. This would be the purse open to receive. This is the purse facing down, pouring out. And again, that is called amicio. Amicio. And the first key word for amicio is loss. Now you might be thinking, oh, well, that's a bad thing. We don't want to lose stuff. But actually, loss can be either good or bad. Just like challenge can be either good or bad. Can be positive or less positive, perhaps negative. Yeah? A positive challenge, something to strive for, something to reach for, something I don't like the word goal. It's not a goal. It's a direction we want to move in. That kind of a challenge is very positive, whereas a kind of a blockage challenge, a challenge to our will, something that opposes us, that kind of challenge can be seen as more negative. Now, sometimes that opposition can be a benefit to us in the long run, but that's an entirely different conversation. Now, here, when we've got the idea of loss, how can that be positive? Well, there are some things that we want to lose. There are some things that losing is of benefit to us. Now, ideas that are of benefit for loss can be things like generosity, where we lose items to another person. Yeah. Other things, do we want to keep a hold of our diseases? No, the loss of a disease can also be indicated by amicio. Also, the loss, when we say we lose our heart to somebody or something, yeah, that kind of a loss of, not loss of heart like, oh, I'm feeling deflated, but I've lost my heart to something means that I love it, or I have become impassioned with it, right? That's also part of this loss, a loss of we lose our heart to things. And then it could be the more negative things of actually losing items, losing money, losing possessions, losing attention, losing affection from other people or a specific other person. So there are, again, both positive and negative aspects of loss in this card. Just as if this were reversed and it's the idea of gain, gain could also be positive or negative. We can gain things that are beneficial to us, but we can also gain things that are unbeneficial to us. Like we can gain a disease. We can gain burdens. We can gain a whole bunch of family members who have lost their homes and are now draining our resources. Yeah, there are gains that are that sap our energy and sap our resources. And there are losses that inflate, that help us to grow, that help us to become more than we are. Or allow us to have more room for new things to come in. So just because it means loss in this amicio form doesn't mean it's a bad thing. So that's something that was playing around in the back of my mind as I researched this card. So let's move right on to the constellation here, Cetus, because that's a really quick thing. Cetus, in Mesopotamian mythology, is often thought of as a whale, maybe like Leviathan kind of whale, maybe. Could either be a sea monster or just a large sea creature. And the sea and storms were important to Babylonian mythology and the Babylonian spirituality. But then when we think of more modern times of ancient Greece, Cetus is seen as a sea monster, particularly the sea monster that Perseus slays when he saves Andromeda. And do you remember why Perseus had to save Andromeda? If you've been following along, you will have encountered another constellation that this constellation is related to. Yeah? The constellation of Cassiopeia. Andromeda's mother was Cassiopeia, and Cassiopeia was boasting, over the top boasting, that she and her daughter were the most beautiful feminine figures in the entire universe, more beautiful than even the daughters of Poseidon, the ocean nymphs. And so Poseidon got really pissed off. And so Poseidon decided to punish. The first punishment planned for Cassiopeia was to chain her daughter Andromeda up to a rock and have her attacked by this creature, Cetus. And then Perseus comes in and saves the day and slays the Cetus and saves Andromeda. And then Poseidon, his plan thwarted, takes out his final revenge of tying Cassiopeia to a chair and throwing her up into the sky so that she's tied upside down to her chair at least half of the time. That's how the stories go. So this is the sea creature, the monster that is trying to attack beauty tied to a rock and is thwarted by her knight in shining linen. Can we say shining armor for the heroes of that time? I don't think so. Anyways, so here we go. So what is this card really trying to say? From the guidebooks, we have ideas of social events and also repression. There are both positive and negative aspects to this card. Not very surprising, but that right off the bat, those were the two things paired at the top, which was interesting. Both repression and a social event. And social events can be a little bit repressive at times, I guess. But also reminders that the little things count. Yeah? And friendly criticism. Yeah, not being barraged by people trying to tear you down, but those friendly bits of critique that are intended to help us. From, friendly fire. Maybe that's a little drastic. Psychology to win a point. Okay. We also have things like profit from social affairs, reward through humanitarian activities, creative partnership for profit. Yeah, it's profit from social interaction, but also gain by original ideas, suggestions to be decisive when opportunity knocks. Yeah, we see an opportunity, it's time to grasp it. Also interested in world affairs, seeking spiritual companionship. It doesn't only have to be people companionship, spiritual companionship is indicated here too. And love dominates material ambition, which seems like a little bit out of left field, but maybe not when we think of Aries, what are we calling it? Aquarius. When we think of Aquarius, yeah, the front runner, the leader, the thoughts of moving ahead. Well, it's cardinal thought, thinking of the future, wanting to move into a new way of being in the world, of participating in the world, of thinking about the world, of justice and new ideas. Especially when we've got the Libra decadent of Aquarius, we've got that idea of justice manifested more beautifully. And we have Venus, the joiner, the union creator, the beauty creator, beaming through all of that. And so, yeah, love dominating material ambition, also creative partnerships, moving into the future with opportunities, psychology to win a point, to move forward, to gain through psychology, seeking spiritual companionship, wanting somebody to move forward. Often Aquarians feel a little bit alone on the front lines, at the front of the pack. Just some thoughts. So, we got this, and very little of this seemed like it might be really relevant to me, particularly as I was only planning on spending 2 hours outside of the house. So all of those social events and that kind of thing did not seem really relevant. But we'll get to that in a little bit. So I did a 3-card draw, right, after I looked at this card. And so let me show you those 3 cards right now. The 3 cards for my 3-card spread, which were, again, significance, challenge, advice, were, in order, the Knight of Swords, the Page of Wands, which we'd gotten yesterday, and which, when I did my video for yesterday, I mentioned that I was being stalked by pages, so of course, one of them had to show up today. And then the 10 of Discs. Now, the Page of Wands you saw was reversed. Yesterday, the Page of Wands was upright, and it was reversed today. But we're going to start with the significance card. Now, the Knight of Swords. And here we have this beautiful knight. The hair, this blonde mane flying up into the air as a Knight of Swords should do. We have the sword down to the side. We've got this beautiful frame around this beautifully figured knight. This knight is standing on top of a red moon. At least that's the way it looks like to me. We see a bit of a landscape behind him, but this is a gorgeous knight. And you'll see at the bottom that we have Gemini, right? Another air suit, because here swords are air. Discs are air, swords are air. Different decks, different associations. So the one air suit that was missing from this is here. Interesting. So unpacking that 6 of, let's say the 6 of earth with those, the 6 of air with those coins. We have the Knight of Swords, the Knight of Air, bringing Gemini into the mix. And the domicile is Mercury. So the Knight of Swords points to Gemini, which is the domicile of Mercury, from which these mutable heirs' vital attributes enter our world. Now, Mercury is only in mutable signs. Mercury's bestie, is also only in mutable signs. And this card has also already appeared for me. January 3rd, it was in the same position. It was the significance card for a different card. It was a swords card in the Sacred Tarot or the Egyptian Tarot. This time it's helping me to unpack a coins card, another air card. And it also appeared 3 days later on January 6th, but in reverse. So what does it mean? It means the paradox of the armed and dangerous knight with a bit of witty humor thrown into the mix. Yeah, the witty, clever knight, but it's dangerous, so has a sharp point to it, so we want to be careful. Restless a restless and busy mind, a lot of curiosity in this knight. More interested in the game, gosh, my mouth. More interested in the game than in the result of the game. More interested in the playing of the game than in this final score. And he's also got a plastic imagination, yeah? And like a Gemini, can lose focus. But also able to go in places that a mere mortal would not be able to go. It's that Mercury, that flexible mind, the quick wit, the ability to move from one idea to another quickly and to learn from their explorations of ideas and also from study, right? So the Knight of Swords here is helping me unpack this one. So, yeah. Today would be, I think, a day of my engaging my curiosity. Maybe losing my mind, maybe. Yeah, when I said this is amisio, the loss, but maybe not the loss of mind as in crazy, but the loss of mind to points of curiosity. I've lost my, like we lose our heart to someone. Maybe I've lost my mind to a point of interest and a point of something that draws me in. Does that make sense? I don't know if I'm making sense, but that's what I'm trying to point to. Also, gained by original ideas. That kind of comes with this card, I believe. Original ideas, ways of working with things, ways of exploring things. Opportunities knock, and this night would be, I think, pretty clear, pretty decisive. Yes or no, right? And then the card, which is the advice for me, was the Page of Wands in reverse. Let me show him to you upright. Yeah, this page, I talked about him yesterday. He's not the youngest page in the pack, which is good, but a beautiful figure of a man, if you ask me. We got the fire burning behind him. We've got the wand, the large wand in the hand. The pages have wings. This page have wings. And the sun and moon in the bottom and the sun and the moon above. The page is holding an alchemical symbol. It's a beautiful card, a beautiful image. And there's a moon at the top of his head. Isn't that interesting? I would think of the moon either as water or maybe even swords for that imagination, but it's here on the top of a page. I'm sorry, Page of Wands. And part of me thought maybe the Page of Wands came to me again because, and maybe in reverse, because I misspoke yesterday when I talked about the Page of Wands. Page of Wands yesterday was upright, and it was telling me, it was giving me the advice, or not was helping me unpack the card, the daily draw of the day. And that, when I was talking about that, for some reason, I mentioned that all of the pages in this deck serve their queens. And for some reason, my mind jumped to the Queen of Wands being Sagittarius, which she clearly is not. Yeah, the Queen of Wands in this deck is Aries. Yeah, the cardinal signs. The cardinal signs are the queens. The fixed signs are the kings. For example, the King of Wands in this card would be Leo. And then the mutable signs are the knights. So Sagittarius would be a knight, Aries would be the queen, and then Leo would be the king. But for some reason, I did something really, really weird, and I said Sagittarius, not Sagittarius. He serves, upright and reversed, the queen, who is Aries. And he is spring. Yeah, spring, the spring equinox. So what is this telling us in reverse today? The challenge, this is, I think, a negative challenge for me. That my humble guys can get, well, the humble guys can get me in trouble, especially when I'm far from home. I didn't go very far from home today, but like I said, I did leave home for a couple of hours, and humility would maybe not serve me today. This card is telling us to keep our own counsel, to watch our back, to cover our tracks. This page has the power to interfere with those who think that they are in control, because He, she, or they know too much. He, she, or they have been taken into other people's counsel enough that they've got the deets, they've got the details, they've got the knowledge, and they can use that knowledge to gain advantage over people who think that they're in control. He prefers keeping outside of this existing system, which is more of a positive challenge than something that would be standing in my or one's way. And he can't be predicted. He, she, or they cannot be predicted, and they can be difficult to defend against. Now, hopefully, I don't want people to feel like they would have to defend against me, and hopefully I wouldn't be in a position where I would be of danger to other people. That's not what I want to do, well, not how I want to be in the world. But the idea of keeping my own counsel, covering my, being sure to dot all my I's, cross all my T's, right? But also know that I do have power that may not be completely obvious, and still maybe playing the humble game might not be to my advantage. And sometimes I think I can fall into that trap of being the humble, of playing up my humility, because I can sometimes use that as a negative tool to gain more favor. The more humble you appear, sometimes the more favor you can gain, you can garner. I mean, if I look at my posture at times in a slightly cynical sense, I know that there are times when I have used that card, used the humility card and it's something that works fairly well here in Korean society. So it's something I think I've perhaps learned a little bit more living here. So there's all that. And then, so the advice for me was 10 of disking, the 10 of discs, which is again here, which is here an earth sign, right? Here the coins are air, here the coins are, as we are more used to, are the earth. And the 10, because it's a 10, we have all of the earth signs grouped together. We got Taurus, we got Virgo, and we've got Capricorn, all in one. So the 10 of discs points to Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn, which are the domiciles of Venus, Mercury, and Saturn, from which the fixed, mutable, and cardinal Earth's vital attributes enter our world. So we've got a lot of Earth moving into the world here. So the first card was air, this one. The unpacking of this card was another air card. The challenge was fire, and now the advice is to earth it out. And what does that mean? Well, this is associated with the castle on the hill. Here we have a beautiful, beautiful image of the tree of life, which we also see, if you recall, on Pamela Coleman Smith's art for the 10 of Pentacles, right? We've got this very, this homey castle kind of image in the 10 of Pentacles by Pamela Coleman Smith. We got the old guy in the chair with a dog. We got maybe a mama and a papa off in the distance. Maybe there's a child, and there's a city out in the background. There's a coat of arms on the wall, and there's a big tree of life formed by the 10 Pentacles. Here we just got this total Peter Max version. It looks like a Peter Max poster to me. A Peter Max version of the tree of life in brilliant bold color. It's gorgeous. And so this is still also associated with castles built on a hill, a place for defense and shelter for a community, for a family. But it's also the tree of life because, why? Okay, so this is not the order that the creator of this deck puts them in, but let me give it to you from my perspective. In my perspective, we have 4 trees of life. Now, the creator of this deck would agree with that. But my order for those 4 trees of life are as follows. The first one is fire. And that's because I learned this from my initial studies of the Thoth deck by Aleister Crowley. So for me, the first set of the tree of life is the fire. And then below and slightly offset is the tree of life for water. And then below that and slightly offset is the tree of life for air. And then below that, the last one, slightly offset, is the tree of life for earth. Now, I think all of us will agree, everyone that I know will agree that the earth tree of life is at the bottom. And it will also go from 1 with Kether, the Kether of earth, down to the 10, which is the very, very bottom of the trees, all the trees, the most manifest of the trees of the Sephiroth is the 10, well, which would be the Malkut of earth. That's the most manifest, the most physical, the most earthy. And so that's what this is. This is the 10, the Malkut of earth. And so I think having a representation of the tree of life on here is entirely, it's perfect. It's a perfect image. It's also associated with sharing life, which lends mutual dignity and respect, like a familial sharing of life. We have a healthy, safe, and reasonably stable community in this card. We are at the depths of the ladder descending into creation. So, however, we can remember that we are the okay, so what am I trying to say? I'm saying that here we are at the very, very bottom, the most manifest form, but even here, we can remember that we are still non-physical, creating its own world of form, and we never are nor ever can be separated from the divine which nurtures us, and the divine which we are nurturing ourselves as. Because we are all eternal beings having these temporary human experiences, right? Now, these bodies you can think of as the 10 of earth, right here in front of you, and that you can observe yourself. So that's the advice. The advice is to be embodied, I believe, in community with my co-creating eternal beings in their bodies. Stable, healthy, safe. Remember that. Yeah, so here's the point where I tell you what my day is like. My day was fine, was good. I saw an interesting movie this morning as I ate breakfast. What did I watch? I watched a movie. Yes, I watched the new Black Panther, the second Black Panther, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a beautiful tribute to the lead actor of the original Black Panther, who passed away and is sorely missed. And so I thought it was a lovely movie for both that and the direction I think that it's leading in the Marvel Universe. Just saying, I liked it. I really, really liked it. And then I had lunch and I cleaned up a little bit and I went to work at the library for a couple of hours, which was good. And as I was going to the library, I got a message from a very dear mentor of mine who offered me a deck. That doesn't happen to me very often. In fact, that never happens to me. Yeah, there's one person who offered, a very dear friend of mine, another sister of the heart, has offered me stuff, decks, but I just took it as a very feeling deep gratitude, but not wanting to burden her with, give me one of your decks. I received it as a sign of affection and love, and greatly appreciated and very deeply returned. Sign of love. My mentor, my brilliant guide through the tarot, offered me a very specific deck and said that this deck was unusable for them. And so I was like, well, I don't know. Well, first my first reaction was yes, and then I thought, well, let me check what it is. And I looked at pictures and I thought, I don't know. Maybe I don't know if I could use it either. This is a very odd deck. And then I happened on Benabel Wen's post on it, and I read her post and I thought, aha, now I get it. And now I could see why this deck was not usable for the person who is helping me learn to row, because this deck is more of a primer. I see this deck as a primer for Kabbalah, for numerology in Tarot. More of a primer than a divinatory tool, although it can be used as a divinatory tool. The images are more like teaching tools or learning tools, self-study tools. And so I thought, yes, okay, I can get that and use it as a learning tool. Do it like a daily draw with that deck and learn more and have the knowledge that I've been perusing really sink in more deeply, more strong with, so I really get it. so I don't have to, I don't have to make notes as much anymore, and so that it really, really does seek into the depths of my bones. That could be a really good practice tool. So I thought, yes, I'll do that. So opportunity, sure. Yeah, the Knight of Swords. My curiosity drove me through the path of yes, and then I don't know, and then to yes again. Yeah. And then when I got to the library, to my community, perhaps one of my tens of discs areas, we got a new manager there to my area of the library, the English area of the library. And this new manager hasn't just started working at any library. This is her first post at a library. And so she's nervous, she's not communicating very well. And I've been there at that post for 2 years. And so I know quite a bit about what it is that I need to do and what my jobs are. And so she was telling me stuff and I was like, yeah, I already know this. And yes, and usually things work out like this. And so I ended up giving her perhaps some information that, or reinforcing the things that have been important to this time. Not saying that things can't change, but I was helped to fill in the gaps of her knowledge because she has no experience. She only knows what she was told. And I know how things have run for the last 2 years and how things can go. And if she wants to change things and do things differently, that's great. You know what I mean? I wasn't trying to undermine her, but I was trying to fill in the gaps of her knowledge and lack of experience. So that was kind of Knight of Swordsy. And I did, what? The challenge of the Page of Wands. I don't know. Did I keep my own counsel? Did I keep outside of predicted spheres? Maybe, I don't know. I'm not really sure how well the Page of Wands reversed really applied clearly to that situation. I mean, I did have the power to interfere with her, but I don't think okay, so maybe I did avoid the potential pitfalls of this Page of Wands reverse. I did avoid this, and because I would never want to sabotage anybody, you know? And maybe I would have had the opportunity, but that's not something that would have really crossed my mind. I did try to reinforce the changes that she wanted to make and told her that I thought she was onto something, that her ideas were good. I did also Oh, we've it's just a little thing. We every 2 weeks we have this English quiz that we make available to the kids who come into the English library. They have to fill in a blank, and if they fill in the blank in an English statement, we'll give them a a pencil or a pen, a pencil with like an animal on it, or a pen with a little dog on it. They kind of like that. They like the quiz element of it. They like the prize element of it. So she was making some new quizzes, and I looked at the ones that she had. First, she asked me if I had any ideas, and I thought, well, you can. This is how you can do it, and this is how, if you have trouble finding the information online, the small phrases to change into blanks. I mean, the small phrases from which you can select one word to turn into a fill in the blank. You know what I mean? If you have trouble finding that, I can help you, but maybe you want to go do that work on your own first so that you can own it, you know? And so she'd come up with a list of things that I hadn't really known that she had done. And so I looked at them. There was one that looked like it would be a little bit too hard for the children, especially when it came to trying to explain what the whole thing meant. What was it? It was something about even a worm when wriggles when stepped on. And it's like, yeah, there's a Korean phrase, that Korean saying that is similar to that, but trying to explain that to a child who doesn't really know all of the Korean sayings at all anyways, that one would be difficult. Other ones are easier, like an early bird catches the worm kind of thing would be easier to explain than even a worm wriggles when it's stepped on. What is that trying to say, So I suggested maybe she'd change that one, but the rest of them looked okay, and I could see ways to explain them so I tried to help her, and I think I was of service to her, and I think I was a member of the community, and I think I did the Knight of Swords, and I think I did the Ten of Discs, and I probably did avoid, although it's not something that I would be drawn to, the Page of Wands reversed, but that was my day. And so the Six of Discs, the loss of things. I did lose my heart or my mind to this new deck that I was offered. I went into a rabbit hole, and I found that the creator of that deck has another deck that preceded that one, and I might want to get that one as well. I don't know. So I'm really like, my mind is wrapping itself around those two decks right now as a point of curiosity. So yeah, and also yes, the little things count. And the friendly criticism. Oh yes, okay. So the friendly criticism of this, maybe I was the one, not the one receiving the criticism, but the one giving the criticism in the sense of, oh yeah, right, yeah, that looking at her list and saying, yes, these all look good. This one might be changed. That's friendly criticism, right? So there's that too. Profit from social affairs. Well, there was profit from interacting socially with her, sure. Original ideas, not so much, perhaps. Little things counting. Okay, yeah, I can see that. I can see how that played into it today too. Little things counting. Friendly criticism. That I was the one giving it, and not giving it in a sense that I was trying to manipulate her at all, but that I want everything to work out well for all of us. I also asked her a lot of questions about the other people coming in to do volunteer work along with me, because I had other understandings of how often some other people would be working, and so I asked her questions about all of that. So yeah, my curiosity was engaged there, not because I was feeling like I had to know because I would feel slighted, or that I wanted to see if I was better than the other people, or any of that kind of stuff. I was just curious who was coming in when, and oh, that person's not working so much so often anymore. Why is that? Now I'm a little concerned about that person. That kind of stuff, you know? So yes, I guess the more I'm talking about it, the more relevant this card seems to have been. In addition to these cards. And yeah, this is relevant. I think I avoided reverse Page of Wands. No big deal. So there we are. Here we are. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Does this make sense to you? I'd love to hear from you. Oh, and if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel and hit the alarm bell so you get notifications of when I upload videos. Hit the thumbs up button too. It helps draw people to the channel. It really will benefit all of us if you hit that thumbs up button. And also, if you want to get these decks, this gorgeous deck by Christine Payne-Towler is available. I've got a link in the description box below. The color version, the Egyptian Tarot, the modern currently easily available mass market version of this deck is available. I've got a link to the Amazon page for this one. Purchase to your heart's content. This is very out of print. The Sacred Tarot, the charcoal gray and white version, is out of print. Usually available on eBay if you want to pay the money for it. Just saying. And if you want a reading from me, my email address is below. thehangedmaninthemoon@gmail.com. Send me an email and we'll get you a reading. Any question, any kind of reading you want, we can do it. So friends, thank you for being with me. Thank you for joining me on this journey so far and continuing, please. And as always, I wish you love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Thank you.